to give people a sec.
Thank you, though.
All right, come on in, everybody. Welcome back to the Holler for a very special interview. Exciting times. People meet. Dr. Jason Martin is here with me. I'm going to talk to him in 1 second. Before we get to that, just want everybody to know we're at tnholler.com, at the TN Holler on Twitter and Facebook, and we have hollers all over the state thanks to your support and generosity and contributions. A few bucks a month. Feel free to chip into the doctor's campaign if you so see fit, but it also helps to chip into us. Dr. Martin, how are you today?
I'm doing great. We're having a great day. It's launch day, so drinking from a fire hose.
I bet. Yeah, we saw you launch today in Nashville in front of a hospital.
That's right.
Just so people know, you are a critical care doctor. Tell us a little bit about what that means.
Yeah, so I'm an intensive care unit doctor. So, when you go to the hospital, if you end up needing some sort of life support, so a ventilator or medication to keep your blood pressure up, or, if you have some sort of life-threatening condition, you're probably going to be seen by someone who does what I do.
Okay, and how has that been going? I mean, I follow you on Twitter. I've seen your tweets. I know it's a difficult time here in Tennessee. Like, what can you tell us about what the atmosphere is inside of COVID ward where people are getting sick and worse?
The last 18 months have just been extraordinary. And, we're accustomed to seeing some amount of death with the job, and it's tragic every time it happens. But what we've witnessed over the last 18 months has been way above normal. And, at the beginning of the pandemic, we were scared. We were worried about our own health. We were worried about, kind of where the bottom was. What was it going to look like to get to the bottom of this pandemic? And, we really worked our tail off to, help get the community through this. Your doctors, your nurses, your respiratory therapists, your housekeepers, everybody worked together to do it. And then we had this, this hope when the vaccine came. And, we actually got down early summer to no patients in the hospital. And that was a great joy for us. But then, now we're seeing just the hospital fill back up again, and young people are coming in and they're dying. And it's even more tragic because it's completely preventable this time.
Right. Well, there is a vaccine that people should get, and chances are if you're visiting the Holler page, you probably have gotten it. The FDA just today finally gave it their full approval, so that excuse is gone. Have you found there to be people who are unvaccinated who are lying there saying they wish they had gotten it?
Unfortunately, I hear that a lot, and I'm thinking of a particular patient when I say this, but I was taking care of a young patient in their 20s recently, and that patient was, tearful and just wished that they had the vaccine, and that's the story we see over and over again with patients these days. I always meet people with respect when they come to me and they say, hey, look, I didn't get the vaccine because it wasn't FDA approved. Like you said, that's gone now. Or, I was afraid of the consequences, or I didn't think it was going to happen to me. That's the one I hear the most. People just say, I'm young. I thought it was going to pass me over, or maybe I'd have a little cold or flu. But yeah, it's really sad. And, some people are getting life-threateningly ill from it. Young people, 20s, 30s, 40s now, not uncommon.
I see Allison saying she's a bedside nurse in East Tennessee. We need someone who has the public's interest in mind. I just want people to know we can see your comments, so keep them coming. And you can also go and visit Dr. Martin's website, martinfortn.com, is where you can support him and find out more information about him. I wanted to ask you, this is a big decision.
Sure.
I ran for Congress. Your district makes up 9 times of the districts that I ran in. Is a big decision. So how did you come to make this decision? And at what point did you start to think, I should run against Governor Lee?
That's right. It's a huge decision. And, I've got a family. I got 3 young daughters and a wife, and we have a really full life, but it's a decision that we came to together after, after a lot of consideration. And so, I was just a regular guy, never been particularly political, other than making some contributions until COVID came along. COVID definitely brought me to the dance. Um, you know, I watched even at the little 18, 20 bed ICUs that I work in up in Sumner County, which are small compared to the big hospitals downtown Nashville. I had to watch hundreds of people die. Hundreds. It's a life-changing experience. And so, while people are dying and taking their last breath, you're holding the patient's hand with one hand, and on the other hand, you're holding up an iPad, and moms and dads and brothers or sisters, they're wailing into that screen as they watch their loved one, take their last breath remotely. And that is just gut wrenching. And, as we were having that experience over and over and over, it was completely disconnected from what I perceived to be a lack of leadership from Governor Bill Lee. That what I was feeling was never expressed in Governor Bill Lee's actions. What I was feeling was never expressed in Governor Bill Lee's words. And so that took me down a path of healthcare advocacy, and I started working to, advocate for smart health policy through, text banking and emailing and doing media. And then ultimately I got approached and, what I consider running for office. And to be completely honest with you, initially I was hesitant because I was afraid about what it meant for my family and what it meant for my life, which was fairly comfortable. But then as I saw that people were, losing their jobs and more people were dying and schools were closing and the governor was attacking public education, and I realized that somebody needed to stand up and speak the truth. And so I wanted to be a role model for my girls and just stand up and speak the truth, even if the odds are long. And so, that's the arc of how we got here.
So when this initially started, COVID anyway,
Mhm.
it kind of almost made campaigning easier because nobody could be on the road. But,
Right.
now we're at a place where you probably are going to be on the road. This is a lot of ground to cover. What's the plan as far as getting out there? I've already seen events from East to West Tennessee. Are you planning on touching all 95?
Yes, we are. We're going to touch all 95 counties. And, in the first couple of months of this tour, we're going to be on the road, and I'm going to be doing a lot of listening. Because I have been in the ICU, taking care of sick folks, and I'm not a legislator, I'm not a lawyer, which by the way I don't think is a bad thing. But I want to go out and I need to, get educated on some issues. I need to hear what's important to people in their community, so that we can formulate some smart policies to address their concerns. But I tell you, we got a couple of guiding lights when it comes to formulating our policies. First, we're going to tell the truth. And I think that's something that's lacking in state government right now. And second, we're going to put the people first. I think and that sounds generic, but it's not happening right now. I mean, you've got Governor Bill Lee, who has no problem at all using his emergency powers to weaken the state's response to an emergency, right? By threatening individual school boards who are trying to protect the health and safety of their students and teachers. So, we're going to go out there, we're going to put people first, because that's politics first. That's the most recent example, but there are many.
Right. I see Heather Hill saying, does he feel the anti-mask executive order was a slap in the face of healthcare workers? It sounds like you do. What I said this week was, it's like our school boards have to protect our kids from our governor.
That's exactly right.
Is that how you feel, that, he just seems to put kids last?
The reason that school boards are being compelled to act in a piecemeal manner is because there's no statewide response. There's no unified response to a global pandemic that's putting our kids and our children and our teachers at risk. Bill Lee's been wrong about this, time and time again. I mean, I know that you've heard me reference this before, but back in May on Fox News, he said, "Oh, kids don't get it. We don't need to put kids in masks." That was wrong. I mean, hospitals are filling up. Kids are dying on occasion. More, just as seriously, kids can take the virus home and spread it to more vulnerable populations. So, Bill Lee has been wrong about that time and time again. And I do think, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I see people, one comment saying, this is about more than COVID, and that is true, but obviously COVID is at the top of mind for a lot of people. Another thing that you mentioned were schools. Governor Lee has prioritized steering public funds, away from public schools to either charters or private schools through vouchers. What's generally your feeling about public schools and public dollars?
So recently, when a couple of districts were considering temporary mask requirements, just to protect the health and safety of their kids, Cameron Sexton was talking about maybe, creating voucher programs in those areas. The fact that they are considering that as a response is an admission that they know vouchers are weapons to defund public education. They've gone after public education time and time again. I mean, we're 47th in the nation in funding. I think we're 1.4 billion, I think is the statistic that I read, light on what we should be doing to fund our schools. We're 11,000 unfunded teacher positions in the hole right now. And so, I don't understand how you can expect better results when you keep, choking the funding out of the system.
Just to bring these two issues together a little bit, we asked on social media this week if teachers were being forced to use their sick days throughout the state when they get sick with COVID. The answer has been yes, resoundingly throughout the state. We've had people in our inboxes basically terrified to even say it out loud. So there's this culture of fear among teachers, not only fear of the virus, but fear of retribution for speaking up, fear of getting sick, having to use their sick days, fear of not being able to take care of their families. How do you feel about teachers being forced to use their sick days when they get sick with COVID?
I think it's sad. It's sad that we're first of all putting teachers in a position in unsafe conditions, and then, unfortunately, when they get sick, we're taxing them. Basically, we're having them use their sick days, and I think it's wrong. I think it's very wrong, and I think even more concerning, or just as concerning, is that they don't feel free to speak up because of fear of retribution, and I think that speaks to the culture of our leadership right now.
Just to help people get to know you a little bit, what can you tell us about, like, other than being a doctor, what are they getting from Dr. Jason Martin?
Yeah, well, I'm a family guy. I've got 3 daughters, Lily, Ace, and Lainey, 14, 12, and 10. They keep me super busy. So a lot of times you'll see me in the car running them to practices or whatnot. I love to ride my Peloton, despite what you may see here. My Peloton is my release. It's how I, blow off some steam. So I love doing that.
You're from Alabama?
Yeah, I grew up down in Mobile, Alabama, and moved here in 2002 to do my medical training at Vandy. And I was at Vandy for 7 years, and then moved on to do some service at Meharry Medical College. I was on faculty at Meharry and staffed at the Nashville General Hospital. And in case folks don't know, Meharry Medical College is the oldest historically Black medical college in the United States.
Right. And that's here. Well, I appreciate you coming on here. The place that people can go to help you out is martinfortn.com. And, just as a final thought, like, what do you want to leave people with as far as how they can help you and, why they should support you?
That's right. Well, listen, I've not been doing this my whole life. I have not been a career politician. So I need to build name ID, right? I need people to know who I am. I need people to know my message. So, please reach out and tell your friends about me. Refer friends to the website. Look, nobody likes to talk about money in politics, but look, no money, no message. And so, if folks can chip in $5 or $10 to help us, broadcast the message and amplify the message, we would really appreciate that. It would help us to meet the other side head on.
Well, when I ran for Congress, I worked hard, but the governor candidates worked way harder. So I appreciate that you are even willing to jump into this thing. I'd be remiss if I didn't say you look a little like a young Carl Dean, and that was the hardest working guy that that guy was everywhere I went. He was there, and he had a lot more cut ground to cover than I did. So I just hope that, you're ready to work. It seems like you are. It's a big undertaking, and I think we should all be appreciative that you're willing to even do it. So Dr. Martin, thank you for what you're doing, and good luck to you.
Thanks, brother. I really appreciate you having me on. Thanks, Justin.
All right. Absolutely. Take care. So that's Dr. Martin. If you guys want to support him, it's martinfortn.com. He is running for governor here in Tennessee as a Democrat against Governor Lee. Remains to be seen if Governor Lee will be getting challenged in a primary on the other side. Andy Ogles has talked about doing that, so we'll see what happens. I see your comments. I see Kristen getting into arguments with people, which is always fun. I think she was saying that Biden opening the border is why COVID is bad, which there's zero evidence or proof of that. And I appreciate you being here anyway, Kristen. We welcome everybody to our page. But again, this is a big undertaking for Dr. Martin. There are other people in the race on the Democratic side. Also, everybody should check it out, look into the race, get involved. Governor Lee has failed us in a lot of different ways. This executive order is just the latest example of him putting kids last, and it's gross. So I hope that you guys will stay involved, stay in tune to the holler. Check us out at all the different hollers throughout the state. We are able to do this with your support because of your contributions. It really does keep us going. It really does help, and we really, really do appreciate it. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you next time.